Hello and welcome to this special program on Channel 21 that brings attention to the 5 finalists for Gaston County Teacher of the Year. I'm Todd Hagans. 5 outstanding educators in Gaston County schools have been chosen as finalists for the 2022-2023 Gaston County Teacher of the Year recognition. The winner will be announced this spring during our Excellence in Education program. Today, we are giving you the opportunity to meet the finalists and learn more about their perspective on the teaching profession. The 5 finalists for Gaston County Teacher of the Year are Alexandria Kai of Bessemer City Primary School, Kleinheinz of Hawks Nest STEAM Academy, Stephen Louden of W.C. Friday Middle School, Brittany Reed of the Gaston County Virtual Academy, and Heather Waters of South Point High School. Up first is our interview with Alexandria Kai of Bessemer City Primary School. Joining me is Alexandria Kai. She is a first grade teacher at Bessemer City Primary School, and congratulations on being a finalist for Gaston County Teacher of the Year.
Thank you very much.
So let's talk about Teacher of the Year. What are some of the qualities that you think a Teacher of the Year must possess?
So there's a lot of different qualities that I could answer with, but I'll go with the 4 essentials that I believe if you are aiming to be a successful teacher that you need to have. So the first one would be dedication, of course, because our job is not always easy. The second one would be open-mindedness and willing to collaborate and be a team player. Because with teaching, it's not one of those things where you find the perfect way to do something and it works every single year for every single student. You have to be able to adapt and be able to work with your teammates or your school and be able to keep growing and meeting all the needs for each different student every year. The third would be empathetic and loving, because you have to know how your students are feeling and be able to love them no matter what. And making sure they know they're loved, whether or not they're having a bad day or not. And then the fourth would be trying to be positive, because, my first year teaching, there was, it's hectic, it's chaotic. And even if at the end of the day, the only positive is that I can take these negatives and reflect and change something for next time I do this, then that's a positive that you can find. But you want to try to be positive and keep that good mindset.
So let's talk about who or what inspired you to become a teacher.
I wasn't one of those children who knew that they were going to be a teacher right from the age of 5 on career day in kindergarten. Growing up, I was obsessed with comic books and superheroes. And when I found out I couldn't be the next Spider-Man, I had to find a career that I could still feel like I was making a difference and making a positive impact like a superhero. And so my first thought was, after I graduated high school, that I would be a guidance counselor, because I knew that I wanted to work with children. I was that quirky kid, and I always felt like children wouldn't judge me as much as adults, and I felt comfortable when I'd worked with them before. And when I went to Belmont Abbey, my advisor, advised me that you could be a guidance counselor, but I really feel like you should be a teacher first while you're getting your master's for counseling. That way you have both sides of the coin there, and you know what it's like inside the classroom and out. So I thought that was a great idea. My first year of teaching, it hit me right in the middle that I was actually really enjoying what I was doing. And I felt so at peace because I finally felt like I found my calling. And, I just decided this is my calling. This is what I'm meant to be. And I loved making that positive impact on students and seeing their smiling faces and being able to make learning fun for them. And so I realized that's what I wanted to do. And I had 2 teachers in high school that I really started to pull their qualities and implement them in my classroom. The first one was a male English teacher, and he made learning so fun that I, honest to goodness, after I went home, I couldn't wait till the next day to see what his ideas and what he was going to do. And I remember reading Huckleberry Finn and coming into the classroom and seeing him have a small wooden rowboat in the middle of our classroom. And he would call us up and we would act out the scenes from Huckleberry Finn with a narrator and reading different lines. And he involved arts, the arts inside of our English class. It was a blast. And I knew for a fact, especially with elementary, that I could pull that and make my engagings as fun as he did for me. And then the second teacher was my choir teacher all 4 years. And with her, I felt so, she really made us feel loved and like we were family. And I felt so comfortable around her, like I could be myself. So I wanted to take the engaging aspects, but also making my students know that they are wonderful how they are, wonderfully unique, and we are all a family. For 180 days, we're helping each other grow and we're loving each other.
So let's go inside your classroom. How do you make your classroom an engaging and exciting place for your students?
So going off what I said, elementary is the perfect age group for this. And I teach first grade, which is 6 and 7 year olds. So if you go in my classroom, you're going to see a lot of collaborative work, not only because that is engaging and they can work together, but also to build those communication skills up, get them ready, for the community and the real world outside to be able to talk and be able to understand each other and use their words. A lot of movement. Even if it's not in the lesson plan, there's a lot of movement going around. We do a lot of lessons where they're getting up and going around the room, or they're doing certain things with different materials. There's, read alouds and active engagement where they get to read some of the parts of the story. And while I'm reading parts, they're acting it out as I'm reading it. And a lot of manipulatives, especially in math, to be able to get that concrete foundation, but also because, what kid doesn't like to use building blocks and stack cubes in the classroom? So I do all that in my lessons, but then I realized they're 6 and 7 years old. So there's a lot of movement breaks, like Go Noodles, a lot of dance breaks in between transitions while I'm getting their next lesson ready. But also, a lot of turn and talks where they can just talk to each other for 2 minutes during transition, talk to each other, tell each other what you did last night, what you're doing after you get home. And then when the timer goes off, they know we're back eyes and ears and we're moving on to our next lesson.
So which lesson is your favorite to teach?
I've always loved science and social studies because that is the perfect outlet to have that engaging lesson. And they're so curious at that age that they love learning about the real world. So the history of our country or the world around us, why we do certain traditions still, or just how the world works. So science and social studies has always been my favorite because they're just so into it.
So tell us, what is it like to be a top 5 finalist for Gaston County Teacher of the Year?
I mean, the cliche answer is it feels crazy because I didn't see this coming from 100 miles away. But I'm just so blessed to be where I am today because my journey has been so incredible. Going from this kid that wasn't very sure if teaching was the thing for me, and all of my school, they have really taken me in and they have loved me. They have given me so much advice and they just make me feel like I belong here. And now today I get to be able to share that with my school and they're so proud and I just owe it all to them. And I'm just so glad I have the opportunity.
Alexandria Kai, first grade teacher at Bessemer City Primary School. Congratulations on being a finalist for Gaston County Teacher of the Year.
Thank you, sir.
Now we have our interview with Allie Kleinheinz of Hawks Nest STEAM Academy. Joining me is Kleinheinz. She is a fourth grade teacher at Hawk's Nest STEAM Academy. Allie, it's nice to see you and congratulations to you.
Thank you. It's nice to see you as well.
So what was it like to be in your classroom and have Superintendent Booker show up to announce that you are a finalist for Gaston County Teacher of the Year?
Well, first off, I was shocked. We were just going about our day. We were doing math. And I had already felt so honored just to be representing Hawks Nest STEAM Academy as their Teacher of the Year. So then when he came in and told me that I was a top 5 finalist, I was shocked. I teared up. I was so excited. But then I just felt very honored and humbled that I was getting to represent not just my school, but Gaston County in this way. I grew up all through going to Gaston County schools, and I've only worked here in Gaston County schools since I graduated from college. I just feel very humbled and honored that I get to represent our county in this way.
So let's talk about your education story. You are homegrown in Gaston County schools.
Yes.
So also, who or what inspired you to become a teacher? Share about that.
I have wanted to be a teacher ever since I was a little girl. I'm very lucky that I have grown up in a family of educators here in Gaston County. My grandmother, my aunt, and my mom have all worked here in Gaston County schools at some point or still do. So I just feel very honored that I get to kind of follow in their footsteps. And it was just always kind of a no-brainer to me that I was going to be a teacher and sort of follow them because I admired them so much growing up.
So you are at Hawk's Nest STEAM Academy. So take us inside your classroom. Tell us about your classroom and how do you make your classroom an exciting and engaging place for your students?
Well, here at Hawk's Nest, we are very lucky that we are kind of the leaders in personalized learning for the county. And so I do take on a personalized learning approach in my classroom. So when people walk into my classroom on a daily basis, they're not always just going to see me up at the front, like teaching whole groups of students. We still do that, but we do what we call mini lessons where I might only be with the whole group for like 5-10 minutes tops. And then the students are breaking out on their own and doing a lot more personalized learning with me or as a facilitator. I'm facilitating small groups, I'm conferencing with students. And when you walk in, all the students might not necessarily be working on the same thing. Yesterday for math, for example, I had some students doing division, some doing area and perimeter, some were working on fractions. So we kind of work through at the student's pace. And that's what makes it engaging for the students is they're working on what they need to work on at that time, working on their own strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the lessons in your classroom. What lesson is your favorite to teach, and what is a lesson that the students seem to enjoy the most?
When I think about a lesson the students seem to enjoy the most, I think about previously when I've taught orders of operations, I transformed my room into an operating room. So when the students walked in, I had hung tablecloths from the ceiling and made it look like we had separate little operating stations and operating tables. And students had to solve equations using the orders of operations in order to save their patient. So the students really seem to enjoy that. Anything that can kind of be hands-on and engage them in a new way, but also connecting it to a real life scenario. I also enjoy really teaching anything math. It's funny because growing up, I hated math. I was not good at it. I despised it. I would cry doing my math homework. But now as I've gotten older, I've really learned to see math in a new way. And I think one of the reasons why I love teaching it so much is it was a frustrator for me growing up. But I can understand my students' frustrations with it, or when they're not getting it or it's not clicking with them. I can relate to that, which I think helps them too as well. So definitely math, anything math is my favorite.
Okay, if I interviewed some of your students, what do you think they would say about you?
I hope they would say that I'm very supportive and loving. I really do try to form a good relationship with all of my students and get to know them outside of the classroom and what interests them and what they do as after school activities. That's one of the things that I think makes personalized learning such a success in my classroom is because I'm getting to know each student's strengths and weaknesses and likes and dislikes outside of the classroom. I try to bring that in whenever I can. I have a bunch of boys that love playing football. So we try to incorporate football or sports in just like our day-to-days and the passages we read for reading and our problems for math, just to make it more engaging for them. So I think they would say that I really do try to form very good relationships with them and get to know them as people outside of our four walls of our classroom.
So how do you know that you are achieving success in the classroom?
Well, I definitely look beyond test scores because test scores are very important, of course, but we also want our students to grow academically and also socially and emotionally. So I think that I kind of define success in the classroom when I can see that a student is achieving growth of any kind and whatever that might look like for that student. Maybe they couldn't add when they came into my room, but at the end of the year, they're able to add and subtract three-digit numbers and they're regrouping. Whatever defines growth and success for that particular student is kind of what I look for.
You're a finalist for Teacher of the Year. What are some of the qualities that a Teacher of the Year should possess?
Definitely think a Teacher of the Year should be someone who is flexible and adaptable. Education is one of those professions where things are ever changing. Things can change like that. You might have the perfect lesson planned out for the day, the perfect schedule, and then you have a fire alarm that you didn't expect, or a kid's getting sick, or whatever it may be. So I think a Teacher of the Year definitely needs to be someone that is willing to be flexible, willing to go with the flow, and kind of let their students lead the classroom in a way. Whatever the students' needs and wants are at that time, the teacher is willing to flex and adapt to that.
Allie Kleinheinz, fourth grade teacher at Hawks Nest STEAM Academy. Congratulations on being a top 5 finalist for Gaston County Teacher of the Year.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have our interview with Stephen Louden of WC Friday Middle School. Joining me is Stephen Louden. He is a 7th grade math teacher at WC Friday Middle School. Stephen, it's nice to see you and congratulations on being a finalist for Gaston County Teacher of the Year.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me here today. It's an honor.
So what was it like when Superintendent Booker showed up at WC Friday to make the surprise announcement?
Yeah, it was great. We were in the middle of a project that we're doing in our classroom, and he just walks in and I'm just like, hey, look, Dr. Booker's here. And then there's balloons and everything. I was kind of surprised. I instantly was like, oh, this must be important. And he congratulates me on being one of the finalists. And at first I was just shocked. I was like, whoa. And out of all the great teachers in the county, that I had this opportunity to be chosen as a finalist. It was just a great honor. I got to introduce them to my class and they were happy to see him. And so it was good.
So what are some of the qualities that you think a Teacher of the Year should possess?
So I think a good Teacher of the Year is a teacher who's student-centered. And what they do is they are concerned about the students and they show up to make an impact. They want to make an impact in the students' lives, but not just in their classroom. They're willing to open the doors and help other teachers go beyond their own potential, help other classrooms, be willing to share with others, work with others. So a good Teacher of the Year is one that shows up to help their students, to make an impact, support other teachers. They're leaders in the classroom and out of the classroom. And they're just a model for everyone on what makes a good teacher and, just how can you help everyone to improve? It's a good Teacher of the Year.
So Stephen, tell us who or what inspired you to become a teacher?
Yeah, so I don't know if it was so much of a who, but more of a what. And I, when I finished college and kind of looking at what to do, I kind of fell into teaching. But I've always had that servant attitude of just wanting to help people. And when I started working with the classroom and just seeing that spark of understanding when a student was like, hey, I now know something I didn't know how to do before. And they just get those aha moments, seeing people learn. I just fell in love with that. I fell in love with being able to help students, grow and, be a mentor to them and just find ways to, find what they can do best and build on that. And so it was more of that what, where I can serve other people and be able to be a help.
So, Stephen, let's go inside your math classroom. What about your classroom makes it fun and exciting for students? So the students in my classroom don't see the same thing every single day. Try to make it different with different instructional methods being used.
they come to my classroom and they find that they might be working on something that's hands-on, or they might be doing a cool integration with technology, using those Chromebooks appropriately in the room. And every single day that they come in, it's an opportunity for them to learn. And it's an opportunity for the relationships to be built. They find it can be relaxed, but also orderly. They find that it's a place for learning and challenging. It's just a great place for the students, and they do enjoy coming to my classroom most of the time.
So if I were to interview some of your students, what do you think they would say about you?
I feel that my students believe that I care about them, that I'm not going to put them down. I'm going to, encourage them. They're going to say that while my class is one of the more difficult ones they have, which sometimes goes with the game of math, it can be a challenging subject for students. They're going to find that I help them make it easy. And they're going to say that they learned a lot. Years down the road, they're going to remember some of the things they learned in my class. And, it's just a positive impact that I've been able to have with many students over the years.
So what motivates you to give your all in the classroom?
So I believe that every student deserves a good education, and nobody has the right to take that away from them. That's my principle that I have with coming to the classroom every day, that I'm going to come and give it everything because that student deserves it. And so it motivates me. It motivates me to show up to work every day and be there for the students, because at the moment, I'm the best that they can have in that classroom. And so I'm the one that's going to be able to most help them to learn the subject.
So how do you know that you are achieving success as a teacher?
So a great indicator when I feel that I've been successful is actually when we leave the classroom. And I see that they're having successes other places, especially with the things that they learned in the classroom, when they can transfer that to another area of their life, or another subject that they go to later. I love talking to students who, they may be a senior in high school and they remember me and I remember them, and we talk and they say, I just really enjoyed your class. The things that we learned there helped me to be a better math student. And that's how I know I'm achieving success. When students take that and it's outside the classroom, I see success in their lives.
So, Stephen, you have held a number of positions in the education profession. What about the classroom do you know that is where you belong in the classroom?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things I could do. I feel like I could I have different experiences that have really helped me to become a better teacher. But one of the keys is I chose to be a teacher. I spent some time outside the classroom doing some other things, and I was brought back to that. And that just reminds me that this is what I choose to do. And I love it. I love every day being able to come in and, be a part of this mission at the school and, helping others.
Stephen Louden, 7th grade math teacher at W.C. Friday Middle School. Congratulations on being selected as a finalist for Gaston County Teacher of the Year.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
You are watching our special program here on Channel 21 that highlights the 5 finalists for Gaston County Teacher of the Year. Coming up, we have our interviews with Brittany Reed and Heather Waters. Stay with us.
And then from this angle, it all makes a star.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore.
Show up
And frustration, a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible.
And then we're gonna turn the lights and everybody look up.
I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought.
finally won. What's your reaction gonna be? Yeah, exactly.
And unconventional methods
Okay, what else?
common.
Little tadpoles, frogs, spiders, this is their world.
There's nothing.
And then they die. Go ahead, go, go, go.
I'm a teacher. I make more.
Welcome back. Now it is time for our interview with Brittany Reed from the Gaston County Virtual Academy. Joining me is Brittany Reed. She is a middle school science teacher for the Gaston County Virtual Academy. Brittany, thank you for being with us and congratulations on being a finalist for Gaston County Teacher of the Year.
Thank you.
So tell us, what was it like when the superintendent showed up and made the announcement that you are a finalist?
Well, I was very surprised. I think the first comment I made was that I didn't have on lipstick, and then I realized I was wearing a mask. It's the pandemic, so it didn't matter with no lipstick anyways. But I just administered a standardized test, high school EOC, so I walked out and have this group clapping, and I was definitely taken aback. I'm honored to be a finalist, though, and to have been nominated by my staff at Gaston Virtual Academy, I think is the greatest honor to be recognized by those that you work with every day. GVA has definitely had some challenges through the pandemic, but we've been resilient through it all, and I think we are still ensuring that all students get to receive the education that they deserve. So it was very exciting, but definitely was not expected.
So let's talk about your classroom. You are in a virtual setting with the Gaston County Virtual Academy. So what is it like in your virtual classroom?
Well, it's very unique this year. It's a learning curve going from the classroom. I did a hybrid model for a little bit, working in a building and for GVA, doing both, at the same time. But being all virtual has had some learning curves, but it's exciting. And I think a lot of the same philosophies as a in-person teacher remain as a virtual. You want to have learning be relevant, and you've got to have engagement for your students. I think we're living in a technology flooded world like we've never known before. Our students have basically answers to anything that they need on their fingertips because they all have cell phones just about. So we've got to instill this love of learning and help them define their passions in life and really incorporate those interests into the content that we teach. So I think students need choice in their learning. Obviously, certain things I just have to teach what it is, but I try to be flexible in incorporating those things that get them excited and motivate them. So being virtual is definitely a unique challenge, but you can have students learning in new, innovative ways. I think education is changing as we know it through this pandemic. So allowing students to be able to express themselves, have fun, laughing with them, I think is very important for middle schoolers, and just celebrating their successes. So it might be the smallest little thing, but if it's something they've really struggled with and I've been working, I'm going to make a big deal when they finally get it. So being in my classroom is just motivating, hopefully, to my students, and exciting, and is something that they look forward to as part of their non-traditional school day.
So is there a lesson that you teach that maybe is your favorite lesson, or is a favorite lesson of your students? Tell us about that lesson or that activity.
Let's see. It would probably be the same thing that I would say for my favorite lesson as far as what my students would say as well. And that's our human body system unit in 7th grade. It lends itself to a lot of exciting activities, a lot of questions that I didn't realize how unfiltered a middle schooler could be until I taught that unit for the first time and thought, whoa, we are really just wide open asking what we are wondering about and curious about. But it lends itself to using microscopes for students. And, the day that they walk in the room or get to have a microscope in front of them is just so exciting. And we've 3D printed organs. They get to downsize, but see how these parts work together. And we do a culminating pig dissection at the end of that. So it's a unit that is very engaging. But it's also something that a lot of kids are just curious about, how their bodies work, and they're not quite sure, and they maybe don't want to ask their parents or their peers, and they may have found, varying answers on Dr. Google. So I try to help them really understand things in a scientifically correct way, but we have a lot of fun with that unit.
So let's talk about your education story and maybe who or what inspired you to become a teacher.
So my education story is non-traditional. I had originally thought that I wanted to be a nurse. So I had chosen that major. I was doing my clinicals. I was in a rotation in the emergency room, and I kept passing out every time I saw blood or needles. It was instant. I would see it, I'd be on the ground. So I thought, oh, as much of a difference as I could make in this job, I can't help a patient if I'm the one needing the help. So I quickly had to readjust and think, okay, what major can I now pursue that's still going to get to make a difference? I knew I wanted to work with kids. I had intended on being a pediatric nurse. And so education kind of found me. And the joke's on me. I'm now the Squirmish science teacher who does dissections with kids, but that's not the same as being in an emergency situation. Looking back now, I definitely can say I'm where I'm meant to be. It was a little disheartening finishing, half of your time in college and then basically starting over again. But I'm definitely meant to be a teacher. And I'm constantly inspired still by my second grade teacher, Mrs. Hill, just to show up every day and be the best teacher you can be. She's one that I think everyone can look back on their education and say, that teacher did it for me. They really just changed how I feel about education. And so thank you to Ms. Hill. She is that person for me.
So talk with us about why you believe public education is important, and also why you believe offering a virtual learning option is important.
Well, I can definitely go back to our Gaston County vision statement, which is that we're hoping to inspire success and instill a lifetime of learning. Whew, I've said that a few times and always still get it messed up. But that's kind of my philosophy that I can take into my classroom myself is I want my students to be successful, but I also want them to just love learning new things and being a better person daily by learning new things. So I think in today's climate, offering a virtual option is vital. We have a lot of students that are attending GVA who have medical issues or mental health issues, social and emotional learning problems that they struggle with, and offering this non-traditional option has really allowed a lot of our students to flourish in a way that in the physical classroom, they were just unable to do so. So it's really great to see students that might otherwise struggle really taking this opportunity, running with it, and being very successful. So it's exciting. It's a little scary being on the trailblazing side of things, figuring out how to be a fully virtual teacher, but I think it lends itself to being a human, and my kids know that I'm a human that makes mistakes, and we are figuring this out as we go. So that's all we can do.
Brittany Reed, middle school science teacher for the Gaston County Virtual Academy. Congratulations on being a finalist for Gaston County Teacher of the Year.
Thank you for having me.
We conclude our program with our interview with Heather Waters from South Point High School. Joining me is Heather Waters. She is an exceptional children's teacher at South Point High School. Heather, it is great to see you, and congratulations on being a finalist for Gaston County Teacher of the Year.
Thank you so much, Todd.
So tell us what it was like to learn that you are a finalist.
Well, at high school, when they came to visit, it was during exams. And it was on a Friday. So typically on Fridays, we're allowed to be casual. So I was wearing a South Point shirt and jeans and tennis shoes. Wasn't thinking anything of it. And then all of a sudden, one of our assistant principals came into my room. They're like, they need to see you in the library. I was like, oh, is something wrong? So I walked down the hallway and I see Mr. Ford standing there with his arms out in a suit and tie. I was like, what is getting ready to go down? So when I walked in the library and I see everybody standing there with, the flowers and the balloons, I already knew. When I saw Dr. Booker, I was like, oh my gosh, it is actually happening. But I was super excited and kind of speechless. I kept saying, I'm just so honored. I'm so honored. But I really, truly am honored to be representing South Point and going into being one of the top finalists and hopefully being able to represent Gaston County schools.
So tell us what you think are the qualities of a Teacher of the Year.
So it's funny that you asked this question because I asked my daughter, she's a 10-year-old at Belmont Central. I was like, what do you think the qualities of a good teacher are and a top teacher? And she's like, teachers have to listen to all our problems. So I do feel that, and right now, the days that we're in right now, there's a lot of issues going on, with COVID-19, learning loss. I think the biggest thing for a quality top teacher is being positive and encouraging your students, no matter what's going on, to do their best, try their best, because every little success, no matter how small, is what matters to each student. And when those students see those small successes, they know that there's someone there supporting them. They can learn, they can be successful, and they can be independent and do whatever they set their goals and dreams to do.
So take us inside your classroom. Describe your classroom, and how do you make your classroom an engaging place for students?
So unlike the rest of the teachers that are part of this top 5 finalists, I am an exceptional children's teacher. So my classroom looks very different than any regular education classroom. So right now, my current schedule, I'm all over the place. I co-teach in an English 9 class, co-teach in biology. I also co-teach in 2 Math 1 classes. And then I also have an academic support classroom. In high school, academic support is a special education classroom where we focus on meeting the IEP goals and transition goals for our students with IEPs. So in my class, I have a whole lot of things going on. You're going to see many different groups working on many different things. They might be working on a mega words lesson that we have started working on this year, a direct instruction program working on decoding words to help with reading comprehension. We also have started the trans math curriculum where the students are working on meeting IEP goals to help support them in their math classes. And then we also work on a lot of transition activities. So I'm currently reading a book in my class on helping students learn how to succeed in the world and how to have appropriate behaviors and how to have conversations with people, something that they can take into the workplace. I am also adapted curriculum teacher, so I also teach students that follow the extensions to the curriculum. So I also have a group of students in that same group of class that I have where they work on using News to You and reading stories with adapted text. So there's a lot of different things going on, but most importantly, my students know that I'm there to help support them in any and all needs, so social needs, emotional needs, mental needs, but also help them academically. They know that my class is a safe place for them to come to if they need help and support and anything school-wide, family-wide, just life in general. And I think that's why students stay engaged in my class, because they know that I will support them in any way that I can.
So if I interviewed some of your students or I interviewed some of your colleagues, what do you think that they would say about you?
Well, depending on who you ask. So if you ask my students, they're going to be like, oh, Miss Waters, she's super, super strict. However, she lets us have fun if we do our work. They would also say that they can come to me for anything. Some just come to me to talk. But most of them, a lot of my students just come to talk to me and say, hey, I know you're cool. Can I come and talk to you about this? Because we all know that, we come to school for academics, but there's much more than just academics. And the students know they can come to me for anything. Now, if you talk to any of my colleagues, they think I'm crazy because I'm running around always doing something for someone. But, that's part of my job as an exceptional children's teacher. I'm supporting these children with all of their teachers. I'm getting into everybody's business. And that's part of what we do. As I told, I'm mentoring a first-year teacher, and she's amazing. And I always tell her, our job is to put ourselves out of a job. If we do our jobs correctly with our students with IEPs, then we don't have a job. And that's what we're supposed to do to help these kids meet their goals and be successful. And a lot of the teachers say, you do an amazing job. We can't believe you're doing this for these kids. And I'm like, this is what we do. This is why we do it, is to help these students see success.
So tell us why you believe public education is so important.
I think that every student, no matter where they are in life, in their academics, that they should be able to have the free and appropriate education that everybody's entitled to. If they don't have that, what is there? Every student should be able to get teachers that know how to do their job. Everyone should have teachers that inspire them to be successful, inspire them to keep on learning so they can do anything that they ever dreamed of doing. And if it wasn't for public education, I don't know how these students would be able to do it. And I'm glad to be able to help these students see their successes in any way, shape, or form that may be.
Heather Waters, exceptional children's teacher at South Point High School, congratulations on being selected as a finalist for Gaston County Teacher of the Year.
Thank you so much, Todd.
We hope you enjoyed meeting the finalist for Gaston County Teacher of the Year. Each finalist is an outstanding educator who is dedicated to the teaching profession. We wish all of them the best of luck as they go through the selection process, and we look forward to the announcement of our Teacher of the Year winner this spring. For Channel 21, I'm Todd Hagans. Thanks so much for watching.